What does it feel like to watch your NHL dreams slip through your fingers, one missed call up at a time? For former Edmonton Oilers defenseman Matt Benning, that question has become a daily reality as he enters what could be the most crucial training camp of his career with the Toronto Maple Leafs. After spending 2 seasons in hockey purgatory with Toronto's AHL affiliate, never receiving a single NHL call-up despite being under contract with a big club, Benning faces a stark reality. Prove you belong now, or watch your NHL career fade into memory. At 30 years old and entering his 10th professional season, this isn't just another training camp, it's his final audition on hockey's biggest stage. Matt Benning's story reads like a cautionary tale about the razor-thin margins that separate NHL regulars from organizational depth pieces. During his 4 seasons in Edmonton from 2016 to 2020, Benning carved out a respectable role as a reliable bottom-pairing defenseman. He wasn't flashy, he wasn't spectacular, but he was dependable, the kind of player coaches could trust to eat minutes and make simple plays under pressure. Those Edmonton years represented the peak of Benning's NHL trajectory. He was a regular fixture on the Oilers' blue line, contributing steady defensive play while the team's offensive stars like Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl captured headlines. But as Edmonton's championship aspirations grew more serious, so did their need for defensive upgrades. Benning found himself squeezed out by newer acquisitions and younger prospects, a victim of the organization's evolution rather than any dramatic decline in his own abilities. The transition away from Edmonton marked the beginning of a professional odyssey that has taken Benning from Nashville to San Jose to Toronto, each stop representing both hope and disappointment in equal measure. His 2-year stint with the Predators showed promise, but the real blow came during his time with the struggling San Jose Sharks. What was supposed to be a 4-year opportunity to establish himself as a core piece instead became a masterclass in organizational dysfunction as the Sharks' rebuild consumed veteran players like Benning in its wake. When the Maple Leafs acquired Benning from San Jose in 2022, it seemed like a perfect match on paper. Toronto needed defensive depth, and Benning needed a fresh start with a competitive organization. The reality, however, has proven far more complex than either side anticipated. The Maple Leafs' defensive core reads like a who's who of established NHL talent. Morgan really anchors the top pairing with his offensive prowess and veteran leadership. Jake McCabe brings grit and reliability to the middle pairs. The recent addition of Christopher Tanev adds playoff experience and shutdown ability. Oliver Ekman-Larsson provides offensive upside from the blue line. Brandon Carlo offers size and defensive reliability. Even Simon Benoit has carved out a role as a physical presence on the bottom pairing. For Benning, looking at this roster construction is like staring at a brick wall. Every spot seems occupied by a player with either superior credentials, better recent performance, or organizational favor. It's a depth chart that would intimidate even the most confident veteran, let alone someone trying to resurrect a stalled career. The numbers from last season tell a sobering story of Benning's minor league exile. 1 goal and 8 points in 39 games, with the Toronto Marlies represent production levels that would barely register in most NHL circles. For a player trying to prove he belongs at hockey's highest level, those statistics scream mediocrity rather than readiness for promotion. Perhaps no factor looms larger over Benning's comeback attempt than his recent injury history. Hip surgery represents one of the most challenging recoveries for professional athletes, particularly those whose careers depend on skating ability and quick lateral movement. For a defenseman, hip issues can be career-ending, affecting everything from pivot ability to shot blocking to basic positioning. Benning's acknowledgement of his health challenges reveals both vulnerability and determination. "I still think I'm an NHL defenseman," he told media this week, a statement that carries equal parts confidence and desperation. It's the declaration of a player who knows he's running out of chances, but refuses to surrender without a fight. The physical demands of modern NHL hockey have only intensified in recent years, with players getting faster, stronger, and more skilled across all positions. For a player like Benning, who was never blessed with elite physical tools to begin with, Any diminishment in his athletic ability could prove catastrophic to his NHL prospects. Benning's contract situation adds another layer of complexity to his comeback story. Still under contract with Toronto for one more season, he finds himself in professional limbo, too expensive to ignore completely, but not good enough to guarantee playing time. This creates a fascinating dynamic where both player and organization have incentives to find a resolution, whether that means a roster spot in Toronto or a trade to a team with greater need for defensive depth. The trade market for veteran defensemen like Benning represents a narrow window of opportunity. Teams looking for defensive help typically want either elite shutdown ability or significant offensive upside. Benning offers neither in abundance, positioning him as a fallback option rather than a primary target. For the Maple Leafs, Benning's presence creates both opportunity and obligation. His contract represents sunk cost, but his experience could prove valuable in case of injuries or underperformance from other defensive options. The organization must weigh the financial implications of carrying an extra defenseman against the potential benefit of having organizational depth. Edmonton Oilers fans might wonder if there's any scenario where Benning returns to familiar territory, but the reality makes such a reunion highly unlikely. The Oilers have moved far beyond the defensive core that once included Benning as a regular contributor. Their current needs focus on top four upgrades rather than bottom-pairing depth, making Benning's skill set redundant within their organizational structure. The evolution of Edmonton's defense since Benning's departure tells the story of an organization that has matured in its championship pursuit. They've prioritized size, skill, and playoff experience over the steady mediocrity that once defined their blue line. For Benning, watching his former team's success from afar must serve as both inspiration and painful reminder of what might have been. Training camp represents Benning's last, best chance to prove he belongs in the NHL conversation. At 30 years old with diminishing physical tools and underwhelming recent production, he faces the kind of pressure that either creates diamonds or crushes dreams entirely. His approach to this opportunity reveals the mindset of a player who understands the stakes completely. "I need a good camp to either impress them or another team before the season starts," Benning acknowledged, showing both realism about his situation and determination to maximize whatever chances he receives. The path forward for Benning requires near-perfect execution of a limited skill set. He must demonstrate that his hockey IQ can compensate for any physical limitations, that his veteran experience provides value beyond raw statistics, and that his professionalism makes him worth a roster spot even in a reduced role. Matt Benning's story represents more than just one player's struggle to maintain his NHL career. It's a reflection of how quickly circumstances can change in professional hockey, how organizational priorities can reshape individual destinies, and how the margin between success and failure continues to narrow at sport's highest levels. Whether Benning earns that coveted roster spot with Toronto, finds new life through a trade, or faces the harsh reality of minor league obscurity, his journey serves as a reminder that every NHL career hangs by the thinnest of threads. In a sport where talent alone doesn't guarantee success, Benning's determination to fight for his dream deserves recognition, regardless of the ultimate outcome. As training camp approaches, one question remains: will Matt Benning's hockey story end with redemption or resignation? The answer lies in his ability to prove that sometimes wanting something badly enough can overcome the steepest odds. What do you think about Benning's chances of making the Maple Leafs roster? Have you ever watched a favorite player struggle to hang on to their career? Share your thoughts in the comment below, and don't forget to hit that like button if you're rooting for underdogs to find their way back to the top.